Far above a distant battlefield, a quiet medical station floated in orbit around a small blue planet. It was not a fortress, and it was not a warship. It was a place of mercy. Large white panels covered its outer walls, and on every side a Red Cross symbol glowed brightly in the darkness of space. Across the galaxy, that symbol meant the same thing. No weapons, no fighting, only healing. Inside the station, human doctors and nurses moved quickly through bright halls. Wounded soldiers from many species lay in recovery chambers. Some were human, some were alien. Some had once fought against humans only days before. But here none of that mattered. Inside the Red Cross station, everyone was simply a patient. Dr. Elena Ward walked between the medical beds, checking the life signs of each injured soldier. Machines hummed softly around her. Outside the observation window, the stars were calm and distant. For a short moment, it almost felt like the war had disappeared. But the war was never truly far away. On the surface of the planet below, a massive battle was still happening between human forces and the Kareth Empire. The Kareth were a powerful alien species known for their cruelty in war. Their fleets were large, and their commanders believed fear was the best weapon in the galaxy. But even they knew the rules of war, or at least they were supposed to. In the control room of the Red Cross station, a young technician suddenly looked up from his console. His sensors had detected something unusual. Unknown ships entering orbit. The technician leaned closer to the screen. Multiple contacts approaching fast. His voice sounded confused. That is strange. Medical stations were never targeted in war. Everyone in the galaxy understood that attacking a Red Cross facility was forbidden. He activated the communication channel. This is Human Medical Station Aurora to unidentified ships. You are approaching a protected medical zone. Please change course immediately. For a moment, there was only silence. Then the sensors suddenly showed dozens of new signals. Alien bombers. Kareth bombers. The technician felt a cold fear move through him. They were not slowing down. Inside the station, Dr. Ward heard the alarm echo through the halls. All medical staff report to emergency positions. Patients are to be secured immediately. Nurses rushed through the corridors, moving wounded soldiers into protective chambers. Some patients asked what was happening, but no one had time to answer. Outside the station, the alien bombers moved into attack formation. Their dark ships surrounded the peaceful medical structure. One of the Kareth commanders spoke through a harsh metallic voice. The humans hide their wounded here. Destroy it. Inside the control room, the technician tried one last time to send a message. This is a protected medical station. We have wounded from multiple species aboard. Do not open fire. But the bombers did not answer. Their weapons charged. Bright energy gathered beneath their wings. And then the first strike came. A blast of fire and light slammed into the side of the station. The entire structure shook violently. Lights flickered. Alarms screamed through every corridor. Dr. Ward grabbed the wall to keep her balance as the floor trembled beneath her. Patients cried out in fear. Another explosion tore through the outer ring of the station. Metal panels broke apart and drifted into space. The ruins of the Red Cross station drifted slowly through space. Broken metal panels and damaged medical pods floated around the silent battlefield. Small fires still burned along the shattered structure. Many of the wounded had been evacuated by emergency rescue ships, but many others were gone forever. Human fleets arrived hours later. Dozens of warships surrounded the destroyed station and began searching for survivors. Inside one rescue vessel, Dr. Elena Ward sat quietly beside a recovery chamber. Her hands were still shaking. She had survived the bombardment, but many of her patients had not. Through the small window of the ship, she watched the destroyed medical station slowly turning in space. It had once been a place of hope. Now it was only debris. On the bridge of the rescue ship, a communications officer received a new message. The signal came directly from Earth. The officer looked at the message twice before speaking. Command orders received. The captain turned slowly. What does it say? The officer answered in a quiet voice. All human fleets are ordered to maintain silence. No retaliation statements. No threats. No diplomatic messages. The captain frowned. That is all. The officer nodded. Yes, Captain. The bridge became silent. Across the galaxy, many alien civilizations were already talking about the attack. News ships recorded the burning wreck of the Red Cross station. Many governments expected a furious response from humanity. But nothing happened. Earth said nothing. Human ambassadors did not protest. Human fleets did not attack. The silence felt strange, almost unnatural. On the Kareth homeworld, the Alien War Council celebrated their victory. Their leaders believed the attack had sent a powerful message to humanity. A tall Kareth commander stood before a crowd of officers. Humans believe their mercy makes them strong, he said. Today we prove their mercy makes them weak. The officers around him laughed. They believed the war was turning in their favor. Far away from the celebration, the human Dominion fleet waited in deep space, hidden far beyond normal travel routes. Thousands of warships floated silently in formation. Their engines were dark, their weapons power down. They looked like sleeping giants in the endless night. Inside the largest battleship, Admiral Jonathan Reyes stood alone in the command chamber. The star map in front of him showed the location of the Kareth Empire, and one particular symbol shined brighter than the others. The Kareth Lunar Command Colony, a massive city built across the surface of their moon. It controlled military communication for the entire empire. Every fleet signal, every defense order, every military command passed through that moon. Without it, the empire would be blind. Commander Elena Ward entered the chamber carrying a small data tablet. She had been transferred from the medical fleet after surviving the station attack. Her voice was calm, but her eyes still carried the memory of the destruction. Admiral, the fleet is ready. Reyes nodded slowly. How many ships? Ward answered carefully. Over 4,000 warships, including the Dominion battleships. More fleets are waiting for your signal. For a moment, the Admiral said nothing. His eyes remained on the symbol of the Kareth moon. Humanity had always believed in rules during war. Rules that protected the helpless. Rules that protected the wounded. But the Kareth Empire had destroyed one of those rules. And once a rule like that was broken, the galaxy could never return to the old balance. Ward spoke again. Sir, the galaxy is watching our silence. Many believe humanity is afraid to respond. A faint smile appeared on the Admiral's face. Fear was the last thing humans felt at this moment. He turned toward the wide observation window of the battleship. Outside, thousands of human warships waited far beyond the bright systems of the Kareth Empire. The Dominion fleet moved through deep space like a silent storm. Thousands of human warships traveled together in perfect formation. Their engines burned with soft blue light, but their communication signals remained dark. No messages were sent. No warnings were given. The fleet moved like a shadow across the stars. Inside the command bridge of the Dominion flagship, Admiral Jonathan Reyes stood quietly before the large star map. The destination glowed clearly on the display. The Kareth moon. It was not just a colony. It was the heart of their empire. The moon was covered with cities, shipyards, and powerful communication towers. Every military signal across Kareth space passed through that one place. If the moon stopped working, the entire empire would fall into confusion. Commander Elena Ward stepped closer to the map. Her voice was calm but careful. Our scouts have confirmed the defenses around the moon are heavy. Multiple battle stations, fighter wings, and planetary shields. Reyes nodded slowly. He expected nothing less. The Kareth Empire protected their moon like a crown jewel. But they had made one mistake. They believed humanity was still weak. The Admiral turned toward the bridge crew. How long until we reach attack position? A navigation officer studied his console. 6 hours, Admiral. The bridge became quiet again. 6 hours until the moment that would change the war. Far away on the Kareth moon, life continued normally. The great city lights covered the gray surface like a sea of glowing stars. Cargo ships moved between the towers. Defense fleets patrolled the surrounding space. Inside the main command, Citadel Kareth officers studied battle reports from the ongoing war. The Red Cross attack had already spread fear across human forces, or so they believed. One young Kareth officer looked at a sensor display and frowned. Strange energy readings appeared for a brief moment, then disappeared. He adjusted the scanners again. Nothing remained. Probably a sensor error, he thought quietly. The young officer never realized that thousands of human ships were already approaching hidden in stealth fields. Back in the Dominion fleet, the warships slowly changed formation. Heavy battleships moved to the front. Carrier ships prepared their fighter squadrons. Missile cruisers aligned their launch systems. The entire armada was preparing for one precise strike. Commander Ward watched the fleet movements carefully. "Sir, the fleet is ready for combat." Reyes looked once more at the symbol of the destroyed Red Cross station on the side of the star map. Hundreds of wounded patients had died in that attack. Doctors and nurses who carried no weapons had been killed without mercy. The galaxy had watched it happen, and now the galaxy would watch what followed. The Admiral finally gave the next order. "Prepare battle silence." All communication signals remained dark. "We strike without warning." Across the fleet, the order spread quickly. Engines adjusted their power. Weapon systems activated. Fighter pilots entered their cockpits. But still no signals were sent into space. The armada remained a ghost, moving through the darkness. Hours later, the Kareth moon appeared on the forward screens of the Dominion flagship. It looked peaceful from a distance. A bright silver world surrounded by defense satellites. Millions of Kareth citizens lived on that moon believing they were completely safe. Their commanders believed no enemy fleet could ever reach this place without being detected. They were wrong. The human fleet emerged slowly from the darkness. Thousands of warships appeared like rising shadows around the moon. Their weapons began charging with quiet energy. Inside the Kareth Command Citadel, the same young officer suddenly saw something that made his blood run cold. Hundreds of new signals appeared across the sensor grid. Then thousands. His voice shook as he called his commander. "Sir, unknown fleet detected." The commander stepped toward the display and stared in disbelief. The screen was filled with human ship signatures. Endless lines of them, surrounding the moon from every direction. "How is this possible?" he whispered. The darkness around the Kareth moon suddenly turned into a storm of fire and light. Thousands of human warships opened fire at the same moment. Streams of bright energy crossed the empty space like glowing rivers. Missiles launched from the Dominion cruisers and rushed toward the moon defenses. The silent night above the colony became a battlefield in seconds. Inside the Kareth Command Citadel, chaos exploded. "Sir, human weapons incoming." "Activate full defense grid." Energy shields around the moon flared to life, forming a glowing barrier around the cities. Defense cannons on the surface began firing into space. Fighter squadrons launched quickly from their hangars. Hundreds of Kareth fighters rushed toward the human fleet. But the Dominion Armada did not slow down. Heavy battleships continued firing powerful energy beams. Each strike hit the defense shield with tremendous force. The barrier around the moon trembled under the pressure. In the Dominion flagship, Admiral Jonathan Reyes watched the battle unfold through the wide observation screen. The Kareth defenses were strong, but they were not prepared for a fleet this large. Commander Elena Ward stood beside him, studying the combat reports. "Their fighters are launching in large numbers," she said. Reyes nodded calmly. "Deploy interceptor wings." Immediately, hundreds of human fighters launched from the carrier ships. They rushed forward like a wave of steel and light. The two fighter forces collided in the space above the moon. Laser fire flashed everywhere. Ships exploded into burning debris. But slowly the human fighters pushed the Kareth squadrons back. The Dominion fleet continued its bombardment. Massive missiles struck the moon shield again and again. Each impact sent shockwaves across the glowing barrier. Inside the Kareth Command Citadel, officers watched the shield power slowly dropping. Shield integrity falling to 80%, 75%. The commander clenched his claws in anger. Redirect power from the outer districts. Maintain the shield. Energy across the moon shifted. Some city sectors lost power as the defense shield struggled to remain active. But the human fleet was relentless. In the Dominion flagship, Reyes gave another quiet order. Prepare the siege cannons. These weapons were the most powerful guns in the Dominion fleet. Massive energy cannons mounted on the largest battleships. They were designed to break planetary shields. Outside in space, the giant Dominion battleships slowly moved forward. Their huge weapons began glowing with deep blue energy. The light grew brighter every second. Commander Ward looked toward the moon. Their shield will not survive this. Reyes watched the countdown silently. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, fire. The siege cannons released their power. 6 massive beams of energy shot across the darkness. They struck the Kareth shield at the exact same point. For a moment, the barrier held. Then cracks of light spread across its surface. And suddenly the shield shattered. The glowing barrier collapsed into thousands of fading sparks. A stunned silence filled the Kareth Command Citadel. The moon was now completely exposed. "Sir, the shield has fallen," one officer whispered. The commander stared at the screen in disbelief. The human fleet had broken their strongest defense in minutes. Outside, the Dominion Armada continued moving closer to the moon. Weapon systems locked onto military installations. Communication towers. Defense batteries. Admiral Reyes spoke calmly. "Target military infrastructure only." The Dominion fleet obeyed instantly. Precision strikes began hitting the surface. Communication towers exploded. Defense cannons were destroyed. Military bases disappeared in storms of fire. The Kareth Command network began collapsing. Inside the Citadel, alarms screamed everywhere. "We are losing control of the defense grid. Communications with outer fleets have failed." The moon was falling into silence. Above the burning surface, the Dominion fleet continued its attack with unstoppable precision. Every strike pushed the Kareth Empire closer to disaster. In the human flagship, Reyes looked quietly at the moon below. This was not a battle for conquest. This was a message. A message written in the Kareth moon burned beneath the endless storm of human fire. Massive explosions spread across the gray surface as Dominion warships continued their relentless attack. Military towers collapsed in clouds of smoke. Communication arrays shattered under precise strikes. One by one, the powerful defense systems of the Kareth Empire disappeared. Inside the Central Command Citadel, panic had completely replaced confidence. Officers shouted over the loud alarms. Reports of destroyed bases filled every screen. Entire defense fleets had been wiped out within minutes. The Kareth commander stared at the tactical display in disbelief. How could this happen? The humans had never shown such power before. For decades, the Empire believed humanity was weak. Soft creatures hiding behind rules of mercy. But now the truth was impossible to ignore. The Dominion fleet surrounding the moon was far larger and far stronger than anything the Kareth Empire had imagined. One officer spoke in fear. "Sir, our outer communication towers are destroyed. We cannot contact the Imperial fleet." Another officer added, "Defense cannons in the eastern sector are offline." The moon was slowly becoming blind and silent. Far above the surface, the Dominion fleet continued its steady advance. The massive battleships moved closer while smaller cruisers targeted the last remaining military installations. Inside the Dominion flagship, Admiral Jonathan Reyes studied the battle reports. Commander Elena Ward stood beside him, watching the destruction of the Kareth command network. "Their defenses are collapsing," she said quietly. Reyes nodded. That was expected. The human fleet had been built for one purpose: to deliver overwhelming force when the time came. And that time had arrived the moment the Red Cross station was destroyed. The Admiral turned to the tactical officer. "Status of their communication systems." The officer answered quickly. Most command towers destroyed, remaining signals weak and unstable. Within minutes, the moon will lose contact with the rest of the Empire. Reyes looked toward the large observation window. The Kareth moon filled the darkness of space, its cities glowing beneath storms of fire. He remembered the images of the destroyed medical station, the wounded soldiers who never had a chance to escape, the doctors who died trying to save them. Humanity had remained silent after that attack, but silence was never weakness. Sometimes silence meant the storm was still coming. Back on the Kareth moon, the command citadel struggled to maintain control. The commander shouted new orders again and again. Launch emergency fighters. Activate ground defenses. But every new order arrived too late. Human strikes destroyed the systems before they could respond. Another officer suddenly spoke with fear. Sir, our main energy grid has been hit. Power levels falling across the entire moon. Lights inside the citadel flickered. Screens lost their signals one by one. The commander felt the terrible truth slowly closing around him. The humans were not simply attacking. They were erasing the moon ability to function. Outside, the Dominion fleet prepared its final stage. Large missile carriers moved into position. Thousands of precision missiles waited inside their launch tubes. Commander Ward looked at the admiral. The Moon Command Network is almost gone. Reyes gives a small nod. Then it is time to end this. The order moved instantly through the Dominion fleet. Prepare final strike. In space, thousands of missile bays opened at once. Long lines of glowing missiles launched into the darkness. The Kareth moon drifted quietly in the darkness of space. The fires on its surface slowly faded into dim, glowing scars across the gray world. Once it had been the heart of the Kareth Empire, a powerful command center that controlled fleets across hundreds of star systems. Now it was silent. No signals left the moon. No ships launched from its cities. Only broken towers and dark communication arrays remained. Far above the damaged world, the Dominion fleet waited in formation. Thousands of human warships floated like silent guardians around the quiet moon. Their engines glowed softly, but their weapons were no longer firing. The battle was finished. Inside the Dominion flagship, Admiral Jonathan Reyes stood before the observation window. The silent moon filled the view in front of him. Commander Elena Ward stepped beside him, holding the latest tactical report. All Kareth military communications are offline, she said quietly. No signals have left the moon for several minutes. Reyes nodded slowly. That meant the mission was complete. The Kareth Empire had lost the one place that connected its fleets and armies. Without the moon, their commanders would be blind. Their forces would fall into confusion. Ward looked again at the dark surface of the moon. Millions once lived there, she said. Reyes remained silent for a moment. Then he answered calmly. We did not target their civilians. Every strike was aimed at military command systems. Their cities still stand, but their war machine does not. The bridge of the flagship remained quiet. Human officers studied the tactical displays showing the silent moon. Across the fleet, similar reports arrived. Target objectives completed. Kareth defense grid destroyed. Enemy command network offline. Far away across the galaxy, news of the attack spread quickly. Trading stations received the first reports. Scout ships confirmed the truth. The Kareth moon had gone completely dark. In the chambers of the Galactic Council, alien leaders gathered in shock. Massive star maps filled the hall as information from the battle appeared on the screens. Thousands of human warships, a perfectly planned strike, and one silent moon. An old council member spoke slowly. The humans have destroyed the Kareth command network in one night. Another leader whispered with fear, all because of the Red Cross attack. The entire chamber understood the message. Humanity had not responded with rage. They had responded with precision. A quiet warning written across the stars. Back in orbit above the moon, the Dominion fleet began preparing to leave. Navigation officers plotted their return routes. Carrier ships recalled their fighters. The silent armada slowly shifted formation. Commander Ward looked toward Admiral Reyes once more. Orders for the fleet. Reyes finally turned away from the observation window. His voice was calm but firm. "Signal all ships." The communication officer nodded and opened a fleet channel. For the first time since the mission began, human signals spread across the stars. The message was short. "Mission complete, return to Dominion space." Across the fleet, thousands of engines ignited at once. Long lines of blue light stretched across the darkness as the warships began their journey home. But before the fleet left the system, Reyes gave one final command. "Send a message to the Galactic Council." The officer waited. "What message, Admiral?" Reyes looked one last time at the silent Kareth moon. Then he spoke the words slowly. "Tell them humanity still believes in mercy. But mercy has guardians, and those guardians never forget." The message traveled across the galaxy within hours. Every civilization heard the same warning. The Kareth Empire had learned it the hard way. Some rules in war were not traditions. They were lines drawn by humanity itself. And anyone who crossed those lines would face the same silent night. As the Dominion fleet disappeared into deep space, the Kareth moon remained behind, dark, quiet, and broken. A permanent reminder